Imagine you're standing outside on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. The sky is blue, birds are somewhere in the distance. Everything is normal, and then the light goes out. Not a cloud, not an eclipse, not a storm rolling in from the horizon. The sun just stops. No warning, no countdown, no explanation. One moment, there is warmth on your face, and the next, there is nothing. Just a cold, absolute suffocating darkness pressing down on the entire planet at once. Your eyes search the sky, and you find only black. And somewhere deep in your chest, you already know this isn't temporary. We don't talk about the sun very often. Not really. It rises. We go to work. It sets. We go to sleep. It's so constant, so reliable, that we've stopped seeing it as something that could ever fail. But here's what nobody tells you. Everything, and I mean everything, that keeps you alive right now is borrowed from that one burning star, 93 million miles away. The food in your refrigerator, the oxygen in your lungs, the warmth in the soil, the ocean currents that regulate the very temperature of the planet. All of it tracing back to a single source. So what happens when that source vanishes? Not in a billion years, not gradually, not with time to prepare. What if it happened right now? Scientists have actually studied this. And the picture they've painted, it's not what most people expect. Because the real horror isn't the darkness. The real horror is what the darkness does to everything else. The first 8 minutes, you wouldn't even know. Light from the sun takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach Earth. So if the sun vanished at this exact moment, you'd still be standing in sunlight for almost 9 more minutes, completely unaware. Birds would still sing, children would still play, traffic lights would still cycle green to yellow to red. And then, at minute 8, the sky would begin to dim. Not like sunset. Sunset is warm. It fades with color and grace. This would be different. This would be a removal. Like someone reached into the atmosphere and pulled the light out from the inside. Within minutes, temperatures would begin to drop. Not dramatically at first, just a chill. The kind you blame on a passing cloud. But the cloud never moves, and the chill never stops. By the first night, if you can even call it that, the temperature across most of the planet would have already dropped several degrees. Crops in the field would begin to freeze. Plankton in the ocean, the base of nearly every marine food chain, would start to die. And up above, the stars would be extraordinary. For one brief, terrible moment, the sky would be more beautiful than it had ever been. Because without the sun's glow drowning out the cosmos, every star, every galaxy, every ancient light from billions of years away would blaze across the darkness. Some people would stop and stare, and then the cold would remind them to run. Within a week, surface temperatures across most of the planet would fall below freezing. Within a year, scientists estimate the global average temperature would collapse to somewhere around -100 degrees Fahrenheit. At that point, the oceans themselves would begin to freeze at the surface. Governments would collapse. Not from war, not immediately, but from the weight of impossible logistics. How do you feed 8 billion people when photosynthesis, the very mechanism that produces almost all food on Earth, has permanently stopped? Panic would arrive faster than the cold. Store shelves emptied in hours, gas stations overwhelmed in minutes, highways gridlocked as millions tried to move somewhere, anywhere, that felt safer, even though rationally there was nowhere to go. underground bunkers, geothermal zones near volcanic hotspots, deep nuclear submarines beneath the insulating ocean. People would chase warmth like it was oxygen. And then, something unexpected happened. Something the scientists almost didn't believe when they first ran the models. Here's the twist nobody talks about. The Earth might not go completely dark, not right away, because deep beneath the ocean floor, thermal vents, powered not by the sun, but by the heat of Earth's own molten core, would continue to pour warmth into the water above them. And clustered around those vents, life would survive. Entire ecosystems, shrimp, tube worms, bacteria, fish that have never needed sunlight. Not once, not ever. They've been living in total darkness, feeding off chemical energy from the Earth itself for millions of years. While the surface freezes and civilization collapses, the deep ocean keeps breathing. But here's what nobody fully prepared you for. The human body doesn't just need warmth to survive. It needs light. Biologically, neurologically, psychologically. Without sunlight, circadian rhythms collapse within days. Sleep cycles shatter. Melatonin floods the brain in quantities never meant for waking hours. Depression doesn't creep in slowly. It arrives like a wall. Studies of extreme polar winters, places like northern Norway, where darkness lasts for months, show what prolonged sunlessness does to the human mind. Cognitive function slows. Decision-making deteriorates. Emotional regulation breaks down. Now imagine that, but permanent and global. The public never fully hears this part of the science. The conversation always jumps to temperature, to crops, to infrastructure. Those are real, critically real. But the hidden truth is that the psychological collapse might arrive before the physical one. Because we are creatures of light. Our entire evolutionary history, every instinct, every biological rhythm, every emotional anchor, was built around a sun that rose and set and rose again. Take that away, permanently, and something inside the human mind begins to unravel that no amount of technology can fix. And here, right here, is the big revelation. The reason the sun scenario is so terrifying isn't really about cold or hunger or darkness. It's about meaning. Civilizations across every culture in human history, Egyptian, Greek, Aztec, Hindu, Norse, built their entire understanding of life, death, time, and divinity around the sun. The sun wasn't just a star, it was the organizing principle of what it meant to be human. Our calendars, our agriculture, our architecture, Stonehenge, the pyramids, Machu Picchu, all of it oriented toward that one light in the sky. Remove the sun, and you don't just freeze the planet. You erase the oldest story humanity has ever told itself. That's what darkness falling forever really means. Tomorrow morning, the sun will rise. You probably won't think about it. You'll make coffee, check your phone, move through your morning like every other morning. But somewhere in the background of your ordinary Tuesday, that ancient light will be doing what it has always done, pulling the tides, feeding the forests, warming the back of your hand through a window, holding everything together. There's something almost unbearable about realizing how much we owe to something we never once thanked. We built cities, we launched satellites, we mapped the human genome and split the atom and connected 8 billion minds through invisible signals in the air. And underneath all of it, quietly, faithfully, without a single day off in 4.5 billion years, the sun just kept burning. If this kind of storytelling moves you, if you find yourself staring at the sky differently after watching this, then this channel was made exactly for you. Subscribe, because the next story reaches even further into the dark. Because here's the thing about imagining a world without the sun. It doesn't just make you fear the darkness. It makes you see the light. Really, truly see it, maybe for the first time. And in our next documentary, we explore something even closer to home. A question scientists have quietly debated for decades, and one that changes everything you think you know about the world beneath your feet.